some to majority of us like to think that gaining external things like money, fame, success, power, influence is what is going to make us feel, think, and know that we have made it in life. It is true, but to some extent, in the sense of, yes, gaining these things has truth behind it, but there's also a false behind it. If I can expound on this, and before I actually expound on this, let me first say that gaining things that are external in this world, the fame, the money, success, the power, the influence, isn't bad. What makes it bad and what also makes it good at the same time is your heart posture towards the reason as to why you feel that gaining these external things is what is going to make you think, feel, and know that you have made it in life. Really think about what I've just said. Now, if I can expound on the truth behind this and also the faults behind this, is that the truth behind you gaining these external things is based on like your current status right now, in the sense of people can see that you are one, even not even people, but also yourself. People and yourself can see that you were once broke, but you started getting money. You were once poor, but you started becoming successful and wealthy. You were once not known, but you started becoming influential and famous. You once did not have access to things, but now you started becoming powerful. That made you start having access to things. That's the truth behind it. But the false behind it is that if you center these external things to be your identity as to the reason as to why you have made it in life, is you simply lying to yourself, is you simply deceiving yourself, is you simply deluding yourself, and is you simply placing your identity on something that is counterfeit, if you really think about it. Because the truth of the matter is, yes, you may have gotten these things from an external standpoint, but internally, how are you as a person? Because these external things is not what actually makes people know who you are, and it's not actually what makes you know who you are, and it's most importantly, it's not what God makes you know who you are based on what he has called you to do, but who you are internally and who you have centered yourself internally is what actually makes you truly who you are, is what actually makes you truly know that you have made it in life. Because you can have all the money, all the fame, all the success, all the power, all the influence in this world, but internally you can still be so anxious, worried, fearful, insecure, and depressed. This is why Jesus literally says, what benefit is it if a man gains the whole world but loses his soul? Because if a man places his identity, if a man centers his identity in something that is false, is the moment he loses himself. But if a man places his identity, if a man, not if, but when a man places his identity, when a man, and when I'm saying man, I mean like both man and woman. Yeah. So if a man places his identity and centers his identity on the right things, which is knowing their identity in Christ, their identity in God, is when these external things do not even have control over them. So basically, you knowing that you have made it in life is when you finally realize that despite you having these external things or not, as long as you know who you truly are internally, is all that matters. Because if you have the money or not, but you know yourself deep down who you truly are, you're okay. If you have the power, fame, success, wealth, and influence, but and or not, but you truly know who you are internally, your identity in God, your identity in Christ, whether you have them or not, you're okay. So even the moment that people bring opportunities to you, yes, you can get that temptation of, you know, because you know the benefits of doing this thing. But If you're able to just pause and think, why is it that I really want this opportunity? Why is it that I really want this money? Why is it that I really want this influence, this fame, this power, these external things, these materialistic things, these things that are moth and rust, these things that are temporary? Why is it that I really want them? And the moment you are able to answer that is the moment you are actually at the right path. Because it will help you be self aware and realize where your heart is based on. This is why even Christ said it. Wherever your treasure is where your heart is. Whatever it is that you value, not value, value a lot in life, wherever your mind is seriously focused on and centered on in life, is where you have placed your God at, is where you have placed your God in. So you can have all the money in this world, all the fame in this world, all the success in this world, all these external things in this world. But if you have a detached mindset towards them because you truly know who you are internally, is when you know that you have actually made it in life. Because if people bring these external things before you, trying to entice you with them, trying to trap you in them, you will have a high conscience inside yourself based on the fact that you have known your identity in Christ and in God to the point that you won't even need them. You will just want them, because wanting something is you knowing that whether you have it or not, you're okay. But needing something is centered on the fact that you have to have this in order for you to survive. You have to have this in order for you to be yourself. This is why I purposely believe that God puts a hole in us that requires His presence to reign in it in order for us to truly be at peace, contentment, and abundance within ourselves. Because if you replace that hole with the money, with the fame, with the power, even with drugs, with sex, with influence, with wealth, is the moment you're replacing something that isn't supposed to be in your heart with something counterfeit. So, the best way of knowing that you have made it in life, the best way of even you thinking that you have made it in life, is when you realize that despite me having the fame, the money, the success, the power, the influence, despite me wanting the fame, success, the money, the power, the influence, I am not attached to them. Or even though I am attached to them, I am attached to them with a detached mentality and mindset towards them. Because whether I have them or not, that doesn't determine who I am. That isn't where the center of my identity is, but the center of my identity is with my relationship with God. My center of my identity is how I get along with God, how I understand God. This is why even the Bible literally says that the best way of knowing that you do not have the love of the Father in you is if you're controlled by the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And this is all centered on the external things. Because if your identity is centered on the external things, you will be so impulsive. You will always compromise. You will always feel as if you getting these external things is what you really need. It's like they are your God. But once you detach yourself from them, you can have a good perspective towards even gaining them, because whether you gain them or not, you're okay. And how now you'll even want to gain them is based on the perspective of God. You will follow the system and the operating system of God and how to actually achieve and gain them. Because the Bible also says that the blessings of the Lord add no sorrow to a man, but it's really determined if your heart posture is aligned with God's heart. Because if your heart isn't aligned with God's heart, when you gain these external things, you will feel as if you have finally made it in life and you have centered them as your God. But if you are truly aligned with God's heart, if you now get, not even when you have, if you have faith, when you now get these external things and now center them not as the God in your life, you do not center them as something that you need in your life, is and then now you're detached with them, not detached with them, you're detached from them, is the moment you have finally made it in life. So basically, long story short, the best way of knowing that you have made it in life is the moment when you have realized that you want these things, these external things, but you aren't attached to them. And if you are attached to them, you are attached to them with a detached mentality, knowing that your identity isn't centered on them. But the best way of knowing that you haven't made it in life is when you feel as if once you now gain these external things become your God, and they are the basis of them being the center of your identity. Bless.